Am I the asshole to tell the waitress that the hostess said we'd have to surrender our table at a certain time? We had just seen a movie in the city my husband and I were visiting, and we decided to get dinner. We didn't have reservations but asked the restaurant hostess if she could fit us in. She didn't think so, then said, "Well, I have this table but you have to finish in 45 minutes. That seemed doable, so we sat down. When the waitress asked if we wanted to see the dessert menu, I told her that the hostess had said we had to vacate the table in 15 minutes. And my husband blew up at me. "It's not your job to tell her that that's her responsibility," he argued and went on, saying, "It's not your problem." I was aghast. I didn't want to be rushed through it if I did order dessert and thought the waitress could check with the hostess and buy us some time. I also thought the waitress might not know what the hostess had said about needing us to leave at a certain time. The tables were close together and a solo diner was 3 feet from us. I was embarrassed that I was being loudly dressed down within his earshot for merely mentioning a fact. I mentioned the incident a few days later and my husband was adamant that I was wrong to tell the waitress what the hostess asked, but he suggested I ask here. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. I was a waiter. We try our most to be professional as possible. However, things does slip between the cracks. We forget that someone said they didn't like bread with poppy seeds. We forget that someone asked to brine the steaks 10 million after the salad and not after they finish the salad. And we sometimes forget when the hostess squeeze a customer on a table that will be occupied in 45 million. Being reminded of such things once, I dare say once, because annoying customers may remind you something every 5 million, when you attend other tables for example, is totally okay, and even appreciated, because it leads to less mistakes on very busy nights, exactly like you described here. I'm saying that from my personal experience, and cannot speak for the entire waiters workforce though. So you're just trying to communicate effectively and you got chastised for that like a child in front of other people? I'd be blind with fury if I were you. Tight-lipped, walked straight out of the restaurant, not spoken a word to my partner until I got an apology. A big one. Crazy that he's doubling down. I'm sure he realized in hindsight that he just overreacted to nothing, and doesn't want to admit it. Barf. I'm shocked that you haven't ripped him a new one and that you're even asking us if you're in the wrong. Hope this isn't how he usually acts. There might be something here that resonates. Why does he do that? Less than free PDF. Yes, it's better to buy the book if you can, but my understanding is that Bancroft wants everyone to have access to it. Including people who would be in danger if caught with a book and people who don't have their own money. So is not trying to have it taken down. Not the asshole. What is wrong with your husband? His reaction did not fit the situation. Is he always like this? I would be so embarrassed. Not the asshole. I would have mentioned this to the server too. If the hostess had neglected to tell the server this, the things might have gotten difficult for the server. It also makes sure the server gets your bill closed out, paid for, table turned over, etc. And no one gets rushed. Regardless, your husband's reaction was unacceptable, period. His reluctance to apologize later and admit he behaved terribly is even more unacceptable. Not the asshole. Your husband should be ashamed of himself. First off, he should not speak to you this way ever, and secondly, doing so in public is absolutely horrible. He not only humiliated you but also disturbed the other diners. I hope for your sake this is a one-time thing and he isn't always such a jerk. What you did was just plain common courtesy and very practical. Am I the asshole for asking a stranger why they were touching me? So, I was at a bar with my friends, having a conversation, when I suddenly felt 2 hands grab my shoulders. The person whispered in my ear something along the lines of, "Stay youthful, and you'll always feel free," or something random like that. I turned around and realized it was a complete stranger around his 30s, I am in my 20s. My first reaction was to say, "Okay, but why are you grabbing me like that?" His response was, "I don't know, I just saw you looking at me earlier." I explained, I turned around once because we were talking about something private, and I wanted to check if anyone was listening. He then said, "Oh, maybe I mistook you for someone else." At that point, I felt really uncomfortable. The whole mood shifted for me, and my friend sitting next to me noticed and asked if I was okay. She later said, "Maybe you could have been more gentle in how you responded." But I told her I felt violated. He invaded my personal space and crossed a boundary. I also explained that when someone does something inappropriate, I trust my instincts and respond firmly. I believe that if you call people out in a way that humbles them, they're less likely to do the same thing to someone else. Also, if he just said hello and introduced himself, I would have reacted very differently. Even though I stood up for myself, I felt awkward and weird afterward. I couldn't shake the discomfort, and I really just wanted to leave. Now I'm questioning if I was too aggressive or if there's a better way to handle situations like this. Was I wrong for how I reacted? Don't be polite to men who creep you out. It's not your job to comfort them. Don't be polite to men who creep you out. Not the asshole. A random person grabbing my shoulders and whispering in my ear would get a "Who the hell do you think you are?" from me. Guy's lucky he hasn't been slapped. You were much more level-headed than I would have been. Being touched like that is a violation of your personal space. Don't let anyone tell you that you should be polite to someone who would do that. Not the asshole. There was zero reason for him to touch you. If it felt off, it's because it was. Always trust your instincts. Dude was being super creepy. I'm a guy and that interaction is weird as hell. From the touching to the creepy statement. F that guy. Not too aggressive, always trust your gut. It ended up being harmless this time, but you never know someone's intentions. Keep being you. I worked at a bar throughout college, so I highly recommend your response. I've seen some weird, bad stuff happen. Definitely a creep. Men do this all the time trying to see how you'll respond. The fact he used 2 hands to grab you, whispered that in your ear, then did the "oh I thought you gave me a sign by looking in my general direction" bullshit face with rolling eyes, location flag, then changed his story to "I thought you were someone else." Yeah sure. I guess at least it sounds like he didn't persist after that. Not rude at all, but your friend is weird for trying to chastise you about it. What person comes up to a complete stranger and touches them, whispers in their ear? Dude was a creep. I would have told him outright to not touch me at all and be loud where people would look and turn their heads. Am I the asshole for not putting my husband's name on gifts I bought on my own? Throwaway account because I don't want him to see this. I, 27 female, have been married to my husband, 29 male, for 3 years, and we've been together since we were 18 and 19. The first 2 years we had been together, when we were still pretty young and our relationship was new, we bought Christmas gifts separately, except in some rare cases. But when we got pretty serious, we started making gifts from the both of us to other people. Since then, he has not once helped me buy the gifts. That includes gifts for my family, our friends, but even gifts for his family. Occasionally, he would give me some ideas as to what the person would want, but that was still pretty rare, and the ideas he gave were most of the time very vague. And even when he gave me ideas, I was the one that bought the gifts and went Christmas shopping alone. I was fine with it at the beginning as I really enjoyed gift giving and finding the perfect ideas for everyone, but it's been 8 years of this and it's getting pretty exhausting. I've also evolved in my career since we got together, and now have way less free time to spend buying gifts. So last year I asked before the holiday season if he could help this year and we'd each buy some of the presents. Out of maybe 20 people we bought gifts for, he bought only one. And he told me that he would take care of it until the very last minute, but eventually forgot. So I had to buy his sister and mother a present less than 24 hours before Christmas. After that, I told him that I now expected help because this could not happen again, as it was mentally and physically exhausting for me. So this year I bought half of the gifts and he was supposed to buy the other half. He didn't. Yesterday I spent 7 hours at the mall trying to find the rest of the gifts and he was no help. I sometimes called him to ask if the person would like a gift, if they already had it, or what he thought, and he mostly said, "I don't know, maybe," and whatever. I also have to add that I'm 6 months pregnant, so this was extremely exhausting. When I got home I was angry and tired, and while wrapping the presents I decided that since he didn't help at all I wouldn't put his name on the presents. Usually we write something like, "From Mary and John," not our real names, but I just wrote, "From Mary." Today as we were packing all the gifts in the car to go to his parents' house he noticed that his name wasn't on it. I explained it to him and said that he didn't help so he didn't get credit for what I bought. He keeps saying that it's unfair and that I'm gonna make him look bad, and asks that I change it. I don't know if I should. Maybe this is petty, but I don't know what else to do. I've asked for help many times and I'm just afraid he's never going to change. Should I put his name? Am I mean for this? How can I make him understand how much I need help? Not the asshole, I just wouldn't buy them. Make sure your family is sorted and let him explain it to his. Not the asshole. You've been carrying this responsibility for him for far too long and have gotten far too resentful for it to be healthy. Next year, you will have the additional responsibility of a child, in addition to the one you married. From my perspective, the best solution is to stop wasting hours shopping at the mall and just give people a combo token gift card combination. Examples: set of wine glasses and a bottle of wine, a box of movie snacks with DVDs or movie tickets, a baseball cap with tickets to a game, etc. Gift giving should not be this stressful, expensive, or time-consuming. If your husband has opted out, just make it easy on yourself by taking the approach I just suggested. As long as you choose things the person likes, it is a thoughtful gift. And it is enough. Not the asshole he's acting like a child, and you're acting like his mom. A mom takes a kid to the mall last minute to shop for gifts. The mom decides what gifts to buy. The mom wraps the gifts. The mom then writes the child's name on the gift. Stop treating him like a child, and let him suffer the consequences of his own actions like a grown man. The humiliation should get him sooner or later, and unlike the gifts, only his name belongs on the guilt. Not yours. Not the asshole. OMG, you're 6 months pregnant and he's leaving all the work and stress of buying presents to you. Leave his name off, and if anyone mentions it, tell them exactly why. Let's see what his family had to say about leaving all that to the 6 months pregnant mother of his child. Not the asshole. Maybe being embarrassed in front of his family when they question why his name isn't on the gifts. Please, if they ask, tell them the truth before he can chip in and make something up that will make him sound like the victim. Is just the kick up the backside he needs to stop being lazy and expecting you to run around after him. I have stopped buying gifts for my husband's friends and family because of this. If they don't get anything, too bad. I remind him a few times, and then I just stop caring. Am I the asshole? My mother-in-law stole my gift and I'm super hurt. My mother-in-law of 15 years asked me to lunch and finish Christmas shopping. She wasn't sure what to get my 9-year-old son. We met at the video game store. They were out of my suggestion. I told her of another game I had already purchased for my son but planned on sending it back to make it easier on Mill. Next store I'm adding things to my cart for my kids. She is asking who they are for and pulling them out of my cart into hers. I nicely was like, if you keep taking the stuff I'm gonna buy, Santa's gonna suck this year. She didn't seem to care. As we are checking out, I say I had to go to Best Buy next door and get my daughter her big gift from my husband and I, a camcorder. My mother-in-law is a hoarder of casino-gamed merch. If you know you know, and said, I have some at home, I think, and I was very clear in my response. Thanks but no thanks, I'm excited to get this for her. Mother-in-law shops alongside at Best Buy. Stands at checkout to completion while we talk about how my daughter has this number 1 on her list and I was excited to see her open it Christmas morning. 2 days go by. My daughter stays overnight at grandma's. When she came home she was significant other excited to tell me that brother has 7 presents under the tree, she has 6 and Nana got her a vlogging camera. But we need your help with the memory card, Mom. Who does that? I texted her asking why in the world she would ever think that was okay. Her response, it's a kid's toy. As if that matters. And her son, my husband, he doesn't understand why I have an issue. Am I the asshole? Edit to add, clarify. I had never shopped with her before. The items she was removing from my cart were not make or break, more like I'm done shopping but I'm here in this store, so I grabbed some lil bonus Santa items. It never came to mind she would gift the camera before me. Never, even when she was taking from my cart. It just wasn't even an inkling of something to be wary of to me. Because who does that? But, is your mother-in-law always like this? Why would you keep taking her to stores? Tell her nothing, she is on an ice diet. You unfortunately let her by taking her with you if she is always like this. And the kid's going a few days before Xmas. Well yeah, she was one-upping you. Did you not anticipate that? You have a husband problem. Do you normally get steamrolled by the two? I guess Dad can go figure out what the big present is gonna be for your daughter now. Not the asshole, and I'd be concerned if I were you about how quick your husband is to brush off someone disrespecting and undermining you like that. Not the asshole, but your husband and mother-in-law are. I'd be so disgusted if my husband didn't back me up when his mother was so obviously wrong. That's foul. I'd call him out on it. Let him know this is a major problem. Update me. Not the asshole, but your husband is. He should have put a stop to his mom being so rude and overbearing a long time ago. Not the asshole. However, some perspective. I just asked my 22-year-old their favorite present from their 9th Christmas. They couldn't tell me. Xmas gifts don't really stick. Stop telling mother-in-law what the kids want if you want to buy it.